Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Replay, where we hope to make your day. I am your host, Jabril A. Rashard, and joining me to the stage is none other than my two co-hosts. My guy, Greg Ice Trade Lewis, is in the building all the way from Blinn Junior College by way of those San Diego Chargers. And also, I got my man, Tim Action Jackson, all the way from Nebraska, that hard-hitting safety from Dallas Cowboys. Good evening to you, my fellas.
Good evening, my brother. It's a
What's
pleasure
happening?
to be here today to be with you guys. You know it always.
Always. Well, we are live. So if y'all want to chat out in the comments, feel free to do so. This is the Wise Sports Channel, and this is the show, The Replay, and we are broadcasting across all of the streamings apps. You got Roku, you got Apple TV, you got Fire Stick, Android, Google Play, as well as iOS, Apple phone. So make sure you go over and download the app, Al Islam Worldwide TV, and that's where you're going to see all this great content right here on the Wise Sports Channel, the Replay, Beyond the Highlights, and plus the Replay featuring I Am Student Athlete. So y'all definitely look out for that. So guys, we got, much to talk about. We saw the NFL playoff, we saw the college playoff, but we're going to get right into it and start right off with those Pittsburgh Steelers losing to the Houston Texans, I should say, 30-6. And it was said, back in the day, if y'all remember, Bum Phillips, the former head coach of the Houston Oilers, talked about when they played the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they lost up there in the AFC Championship game, how they was going to kick the door in. So, I heard a lot of Houston talk that finally kicked the door in, So let's talk about this Houston Texans defense, man, because they was ranked number 1 in the NFL. Them boys, Will Anderson, Big Sheldon Rankin, scoop, fumble, recovery, running in for a touchdown. You got Kamir Lassiter on the corner, locking up DK Metcalf after he had a great start in the first quarter, but then he went MIA. And of course, you got Derek Stingley Jr. And of course, my man, Muslim brother there, you got Aziz Al-Shakir. And them brothers, man, was playing lights out. They played lights out. Almost put me in mind, and I'll come to you first on this, Tim, put me in mind of those 2002 Baltimore Ravens. They locked Aaron Rodgers up and wouldn't let him he was not AR, but I think he was more like a BB gun compared to last night. But what did you see? What's your take on it? What you think about the Houston Texans, and can they make it to the AFC Championship? If not, should we say the Super Bowl?
That's a pretty high bar for them at this particular time. But hey, you never know with that defense they have. That defense was having Aaron Rodgers singing that song "Can I Breathe Again" by Tony Braxton. Just I need to breathe, just a little bit. He need a little air so he can find somebody open at some point, somewhere, somehow. He was all right in the first quarter, but after that, he couldn't even breathe. Like I said, that game showed the tenacity of Houston's defense. Man, it actually played on all levels. Every level was playing very well in that game. And Pittsburgh moved the ball. Just they did bend them a little bit. They shouldn't get nowhere close to breaking them at all. So, matter of fact, now we're talking about, which we spoke about before, and you may allude to it earlier in your statement, was that both coaches, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, paid for losing. Both of them had losses. Not only did they lose the game, they lost a job. And so it's just crazy when you look at those long tenured coaches and how significant that playoff game was. The performances by Pittsburgh at that time and going on what they had done in the past with the losses, the first round losses, year after year, the first round losses, it just took a toll on them. And actually, they wouldn't even in this game after the first quarter. They just slowly just started it's like a slow grind, like a drip of water just dripping down on top of you over and over again until all of a sudden you feel incapacitated, like you drowned. That's what happened to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, Greg, what's your take on it when you saw that? Because to Tim's point, the Steelers defense played really lights out. It was 7-6 all the way into the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden Houston went on this 24 scoring 24 unanswered points. Defense just started to rally, getting turnovers. So when you saw the game the way it shaped out, it ended up in a 36 loss for the Steelers. What comes to mind when you look at the Houston Texans and their defense? I mean, can that defense all the way?
Well, first of all, the quarterback, he has to play better. He missed a lot of open receivers at the beginning, and the defense kept him in the game. And Pittsburgh, both teams was playing about the same on offense at first. They get a play here, a big play, then the defenses will step up and shut the offenses down. Both of them have great defenses, great secondaries. But what took over the game was when Houston in the trenches, took over. Aaron Rodgers, he didn't have no time. They were just crushing him. Every time he dropped back, he get hit from all angles. He just hit the ball. I don't want this. But say he was getting hit all across the head, and Houston front four, their front five, them guys, they let their hair down and they start coming, and that caused a lot of problems for Aaron Rodgers because he's not mobile as he used to be. He's not, Steelers really ain't never known for the running game, which it hurts you when you get in the playoff. So what they did with DK, they put a man down up on him close, bump and run, and then they have somebody on top. So they took him out the game, and really they don't have anybody else to step up. But the turnovers and the pressure, the second half really took the game out of context, and after that, it was a wrap.
Yeah, I definitely concur with you. Big shout out to my homie, man, my guy, my man, my coach, my little league coach with me, man, head coach Willie Weeks, man. He got that hard-hitting grandson over there, Tyron Polley, man, playing at SMU. Y'all check him out. Yeah, he said the game was very physical. No doubt. I think, and we'll get into this, your 49ers in a minute, man, because I showed y'all some love. But I'm going to talk about that. I had some fun with that. But outside the 49ers, man, I mean, to rally to the football, 11 guys pursuing, doing what they did, letting everybody know that was not a fluke being the number one defense in the regular season. They came to the party with their lunch pail and brought it to the Pittsburgh Steelers down there in Acrisure Stadium and did what they were supposed to do. But you're right. I think the offense, they're going to have to play a lot better than what they did. C.J. Stroud, man, he had some really untimely things to happen. I don't know if that was because he was just getting back from I think he had a concussion for about the last 2 to 3 weeks. But, man, he had the fumbles, he had the interception, and there was a couple of another opportunities that the Pittsburgh Steelers just didn't take advantage of. And you're going to have to feel a lot better because going up there to New England, you got that team right there definitely has taken on the character of their head coach, Mike Vrabel. And you talk about they rank, I think, top 10, maybe top. I think they got the 6th ranked defense, and you got a much more mobile quarterback in Drake May. So it's going to be very interesting matchup. 2 former NFL head coaches who played the linebacker position. They have that blue collar mentality. I think we may see another defensive game. But C.J. Stroud, you got to get it together. So I definitely agree with that. But let's switch over, man, right now to the other game that I want to talk about. I want to talk about these San Francisco 49ers. Now, let me set the table. Because I said about a week and a half ago that the San Francisco 49ers was going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I went on and made my post. I said simply that this matchup wasn't hard to call. Now, I'm going to go out there and put his name out there. It's our partner, our boy, Daryl Alexander. Yeah, I'm calling you out, D. I'm calling you out, DA. He didn't think that you all was going to win. But I said, man, you selling yourself short, DA. Let me tell you the reason why. I said, yeah, they don't have Fred Warner, the great all-pro middle linebacker. They had, the corners was missing and one of the safeties was out. But here's the thing, man. I thought that styles make fights. The San Francisco 49ers had the 20th ranked defense, total defense. They're 23rd in the pass and 11 against the rush. So Philadelphia loves to run the ball. All they had to do was make sure they stopped the run because they passed them wasn't going to be a threat. I just didn't see Jalen Hurts being a threat. So let me come to you with that, Greg, because it is your team, the San Francisco 49ers. They pulled it out. And, I mean, I wasn't surprised at all. And I'm telling you, I made this call a week ago. But some of your 49ers fans, and Curtis Maddox, well, I can't say Curtis. Curtis said they was in there, so I ain't I ain't gonna beat up Curtis too much, but I have to call him out like I see it, man. But no, I'm glad that my prediction it came true, because again, when I think about, and I'll give the floor to you in just a second, Greg, but because again, when I think about this next man up mentality that everybody like to talk about, that's showing you next man up. That's getting the job done. I don't want to hear this stuff about, oh, he's a third string, a fourth string, a fifth string. What are you talking about? He's getting a check, an NFL check. This ain't high school. This is not college. He's getting an NFL check. If they could play 22 people on each side of the ball, then so be it. Maybe the second string dude will be out there. But unfortunately, he only played 11. So you may start the game, but it doesn't mean that you're going to finish the game. Not with a coach defense like mine. Not if you're not pursuing to the ball. So you may start, but you won't finish. So Greg, tell me about your San Francisco 49er, man. Was it a fluke? And your defense play again like that? Because they got another big one coming up.
Well, the young guys, they stepped up and had a wonderful game in the secondary, and the linebackers, they played a hell of a game. But that comes from being on the field a lot during the season, getting a lot of reps in games. So when the playoffs come, these guys they comfortable with the calls now. They're comfortable with reading defenses and reacting instead of just trying to study and hesitate. Now it's comfortable. Now it's reaction. They understand the defense. They understand their job from playing early in the season. And the 49ers have a great coaching staff. You got a great some leaders. Guys have been in the league a long time. And then that it's just a locker room. When you go there and play for them teams like that, you want to step out there and win, because you're gonna have somebody pushing you. You're gonna have somebody over your back, guiding you and pushing you to be better. So they play good, and they're gonna make mistakes because they're young, and everybody make mistakes. But in football, when you go to the playoff, your rank defense is out. It's out the door. We don't care about the rankings no more. Make plays when it needs to be made, and then you win the game. That's how you win the game. Make more plays better than they do, and stop them when you need to stop them, and you win, get big games like that.
Well, that's a simple enough, recipe and the formula and the right formula, and to be successful. And I definitely wouldn't disagree with you on that. But Tim, let me come over to you, because we're talking about football being the ultimate team sport. You got 11 guys, man, pulling in the same direction. And I like Cinderella stories. I told you before, I think Coach Kyle Shanahan, to me, I think he's leading to be coach of the year. Of course, you got Mike Vrabel. I think Dave Canales of the Carolina Panthers, even though they lost. But the job that Kyle Shanahan has done, I think this year may have been his best coaching. I mean, even in the Super Bowl, when he went to the Super Bowl, because of the losses that he had. But Tim, when you look at the San Francisco 49ers, do you think that they can continue to play the way they've been playing and get to the NFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl?
Now that would cause him to actually get the NFL Coach of the Year if he can get past Seattle, because it's gonna be hard. Because Seattle has a good offense, and their defense is really good too. So they play a pretty total team, and I don't see a great disadvantage for the quarterback position. Now McCaffrey was showing out. That's one thing about him. He's a difference maker, and he seems to be healthy. Now people kind of sleeping on him because he's been unhealthy a lot of times, so people ain't really invested in him like they were before. But He's healthy now, and he's making a difference. And he makes plays. He cuts, man. He's quick. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a weapon. So that would be the X factor for him. Can he cause enough big plays in that game to get past Seattle? I don't think so. I don't think he'll cause enough. There's just too many things missing. They need one more receiver. If they had that one more receiver, it wouldn't be a question to me. But without that one more receiver, they need another weapon.
But Tim, hold on just a second, man, because I got two other San Francisco 49ers fans. I don't even know why DA should be on here with it. He should have just came on, man. But he out here talking now. Yeah, I don't know if he got a phone call or heard my voice or whatever. But he said, did I hear my name? Okay. I guess you did, DA. He said, did I hear my name? And I said, let's say, man, I couldn't pick him. I only knew like 5 defenders. I think it's more attributed to the dysfunctionality of Philly. The real test is this week. Now you're right about that, DA. The real test is this week. Man, I mean, to play a team, let alone once, then you got to play them twice. Y'all in the same division, but you got to see them a third time.
Well,
that's a lot of gas.
And if I was a player for another team, and somebody say the reason why we won because of the other team didn't come to play, well, that's disrespectful to me as a player, because I'm the reason why you didn't play. I'm the reason why you didn't win, because when I need to make a stop, I lock you down. I made the tackle. So, to say that these players for the Philly laid down, no, they didn't lay down. San Francisco did what they supposed to, because you got to remember, Philly had the ball to go ahead and win the game, and what's the name had a couple of drops, but you can't take away nothing from them young guys, man. They played, you can't. When it's time to play, man, all that ranking out the door. When you lose to go home, when you out there on that island, and it's 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 4, you need to make a stop to win this game. It's 4th and 8. Man, you ain't worrying about what ranked defense you in. You ain't worrying about that. You know what I'm saying? You trying to make the best play to stop the 4th down, so your team, the 59 guys or the coaches, we can win the game. So to say that, nah, you can't say that, because.
Well, you know what, though, Greg? I'm gonna say this, man, and this is one of the things I said. Even on the post, I said, even when I have been on the depth chart as a second string, I never had the mentality of a second stringer. Now, thank God, I've never been on a third string, but the moments that I've had to say, I've always felt like a starter. And I remember just like yesterday when the guy that was in front of me, at UTEP, when he went down, I said he'll never play left corner again, and I meant that. And they wind up moving him to strong safety. So if the guys behind you don't have this mentality, like, man, this dude in front of me ain't better than me. I remember my former teammate Tony Todd played the Dallas Cowboys. He was saying the same thing. They drafted Rondy West in front of him out of Florida, and Tim using that draft class with the Dallas Cowboys. So you should remember this.
Yeah.
And he had that self-confidence burning deep within, saying he's not better than me. I don't care if he did, go to Florida. So you gotta have that mentality, man, where the guys in front of you is not better than you. Because the minute your name is called, you got to be going in there with a first team mentality, getting ready to take these reps. But you say what though, Tim?
Was Saquon Barkley healthy? Was healthy? Was what's that other receiver that complained all the time? Was he healthy?
Devontae Smith. Yeah, AJ Brown. Yeah, he was healthy too.
Brown. So they got all their weapons. They supposed to. I'll say it again. I said this before on the show. They supposed to have the best weapons in the league and one of the best offensive lines. So to beat them, that's some dysfunction. If it's a dysfunction, to me, they're just not good enough. With all those top players like that, you can't come together. That tells you what chemistry is all about. And that kind of goes back to each one of you talking about. When it comes to chemistry, when you're the next man up, when you are a team that vibes together, because they fight each other. The coach come over there and tell him to get off the sideline. He wanna argue with the coach who tells him to get up, get off the field. Get your butt off the field. So he want to argue with the coach. That's dysfunction. That's a dysfunction for the team unity, for the chemistry. That's true, but it also lends a hand to San Francisco on the other side. San Francisco has the chemistry. They had a next man up. They're not fighting over that situation. They coming together as a team, and that's what we like about sports. We love that actually you can come together no matter if it seems like you don't have the best. You're at least supposed to have the best. You don't have the best, you still come together and you defeat that opponent. That was commendable for San Francisco.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Let me shout out my boy Curtis Blow. Curtis Blow, I read you, baby. He says it's gonna be a good game on Saturday night. And I definitely concur with you about that. You had a little bit more confidence in DA, man. But I understand though, DA. Now I'm just giving my boy a hard time. I mean, looking at on the surface, a lot of people had Philadelphia to win that game. Because of
the simple fact is because we lost the game to be the number 1 seed. We lost a couple of games in the end, and things didn't look pretty good. The last couple of games, they didn't look like they. But like I say, teams, you don't know when they're gonna gel. You can gel at any time, and all it takes is, a series, and that team can be totally different from that series all the way to the Super Bowl. You'd be like, what happened? You know, it's just something clicked. You know, it's just, you know, they just, you can't understand it. It's just something about them guys coming together and believe that they can't lose.
Let me just for those of you all who are joining us and who will be joining us, reminding you we are streaming live. We on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android, and your iOS phone. And if you hadn't already downloaded the app, please do so at your app store, Al Islam Worldwide TV. That's where you're going to see Wise channel and the replay and all the other content that we have. So, guys, you know, in closing out this particular topic on the San Francisco 49ers, they do have a very, very tough game coming up. I don't know if you know, the machination of what they did against the Philadelphia Eagles would translate in the next game, but you have a team or two teams that are familiar with one another, and we'll see. But I definitely agree with your team in regards to McCaffrey, man. He brings a lot to the table, especially when he's healthy. But again, this is one of those things where I love to talk about when you team is football is the ultimate team sport, and when you have 11 guys complementing one another, you know, you erase all the excuses. And I guess this is some things that they talk about when you think about the Dallas Cowboys and when they make all the excuses in the world, and you know, and that goes out the window when you see teams like this performing at a high level to go on the road and beat us, the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. So big shout out to 49ers Nation. DA, I hope that you buckle up, man, and put your red. I see you with your red hoodie on. I just got a feeling you're gonna have your red hoodie on next week, man. All right, so let's get over here, man. Talk about these other games real quick in the NFL. Of course, we had the Carolina Panthers, man, losing to the Los Angeles Rams, of course, 34-31. That is what it is, simply because the Rams, you know, I think everybody had them picked to win. The Carolina Panthers did hang in there, gave them a good run for the money, had a good year, and I think they definitely took some strides and played a lot better than they have in previous years. So big shout out to Bryce Young as well. He made some leaps and bounds. But let's talk about this Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. They go into Jacksonville, defeat them 27-24. So, let me come to you on this right quick. These Buffalo Bills, they won a close one. A lot of people had Jacksonville winning that game. They talked about Trevor Lawrence and the great, strides that he's made. But at the end of the day, Buffalo was still Buffalo, and Josh Allen them got it done. So what you think? Is Buffalo back? They don't have the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, so is this their year to get to the promised land?
Well, the team is not as good as it was in those previous years. At least the defense is not. And the offense hadn't been operating at a high level. They did enough to win this game, though, and that's the most important part. And when you look at that, will Buffalo be that? This is their best window, not with their best team, but what are we just talking about? We talking about teams coming together. Ain't like they got missing players. They just haven't been performing as well. So can they raise their level up to playoff level? Can they raise their level up to Super Bowl level, which is the key? And you don't have your nemesis in your way anymore. And you don't have another one just in case, because, Baltimore gives them hell too. So you don't have them in your way as well. So they have the opportunity to actually stand up and stand out. And we're going to see. Because Denver, the only thing I have with Denver, they have a young quarterback. Their quarterback is not there, not an experience. And so when you come forward, is Buffalo defense good enough to put enough pressure on him to make rookie-like mistakes, right? Do they have a good enough defense? And they haven't shown it yet, but this is a playoff. So that remains to be seen.
Yeah, well, Greg, what's your take on it, Greg? When you're thinking about the Buffalo Bills, and they got to go play Denver, like you said. They're going up in that thin air, and then you got a young Bo Nix going up against Allen. How do you see that shaping out?
Well, if Bo Nix continue to play like he played all season, it's going to be hard to beat Denver. Because Denver defenses, they playing outstanding.
They finished second.
They playing outstanding. And Buffalo, they one of them teams, you can't let them hang around. Josh Allen them, they one of them guys in the fourth quarter, if they close, stuff just started happening in their way. They just like, man, how did this happen? this it all gonna land on the quarterback, like Tim said. You know, if what's the name play, if he play like a vet, a vet, or he play like a person who never played in a playoff before, then it's gonna be rough for Denver. But if he play well, I'm looking for Denver to pull it off.
Yeah, well, they got bookends. Benito and them boys, man, they got bookends too. It's really still hard to call it because you don't want to necessarily bet against Josh Allen because he's kind of been there. You would think, and then you got to take in consideration, Sean Payton. He is a Super Bowl winning coach, so he may be the X factor. And again, you're playing at home. We shall see, because Buffalo, they with that experience of having to go in Kansas City and play those boys, defending champions. Maybe that experience show up against the Denver Broncos, but we shall see. But again, that's going to be another great game, and we'll look forward to seeing what happens, because I think the winner out of that game might go to the Super Bowl. But we'll see, because the Houston Texans, I'm telling you, man, I'm really impressed with that defense. And if CJ Stroud can do anything, man, and not turn the ball over and make these little silly mistakes, man, we're going to, the AFC is setting up for a really good AFC championship game. But let's look at these, take a look at these New England Patriots. We talked about them briefly earlier. They defeated the Los Angeles Chargers. Greg, your old team. I'm going to come back to you on that. Jim Harbaugh, good year, not bad, good year. And you go to New England, but New England, again, they have taken on the identity of their coach, Mike Vrabel. They're playing like it. So how do you see the games shaping out between them and Houston Texans?
Same as them. Marcus May, the quarterback, if he keep playing at a high level like he's playing, it's going to be hard to beat New England up there because of their, they coach. He got them guys playing well. He got some great coaches, and they got them guys in a position, and them guys is responding on defense, and they playing good on offense. It's like they having fun, like they come together and they believe, in the system, and they playing hard for the coaches and they playing hard for themselves. And like you say, Mike Vrabel, he's old school coach. He gonna demand the best out of his players, and they're playing the best. So with that said, two good defense. CJ you can't have that same type of game you start out with playing against Pittsburgh, because you'll be down 21-0.
Easy.
Yeah.
But one thing you said, and I definitely concur with you, that they are having fun. So much so that Mike Vrabel sustained a busted lip. So I'm on the sideline. But that's what you want to have. You want to have your coaches interacting with the players the way they're doing it. And it's nothing like, man, when you're having fun. Fun. The Eagles head coach getting into it with A.J. Brown, man, whatever chemistry they had, you just put a pin in a balloon, because it goes right out, like the air out of a balloon. How can you build momentum off of that? You can't. You really can't. So, man, this is going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to it, because I got, me and Tim well, Greg, you was on defense too at one time, man. I don't know if that one-on-one with Alfred Hudson caused you to go over there to the receiver side. I'm having an inside joke with me and Greg, y'all. But when Tim started on offense, he moved over to defense. So, well, like myself too. What am I talking about? I started on offense, man. I ain't gonna lie. I said, no, I'd rather hit than be hit. I'm tired of getting hit. So I'm gonna start hitting. But anyway, I love when I see come together, man, and they rally into the football, and you got 11 hats on 11 hats. It's nothing like it. A lot of times people say, my son at 19, he told me, Dad, that's boring. I say, no, you understand, this is like chess, man. It's a chess match. And when you get down in the trenches, man, you see these guys, they're not going for the eye candy and all these different motions and whatever, and they locked in. Man, look here. Houston Texans locked in. That's going to be a great one. We got one other.
Hold on. You forgot about me. That's all right. I got you. Houston, both Houston and New England both have smothering defenses, right? And so the difference is going to be whether C.J. Stroud acts like a vet or whether it's Mays. Because Mays, he from college to the NFL, he's been under the pressure to be, a star. And you know what? He's been rising up, doing that the whole time of his whole career. So I would say that Mays, this is not new to him. And he showed it in that playoff game. So when he come in, if CJ and that offense don't start to move the ball better than what they did, they can call it. New England defense is just as smothering as Houston defense. They pretty close in that area. So I will give Houston the edge in that area, but still New England does enough. And with the way Houston offense has been running the ball, they may look way better than Houston defense does just because of how bad actually Houston offense has been doing. They've been having doing enough for what the weapons they have. I will say, I know they got a couple injuries. So with that going on, especially if one receiver's out, with that going on, when they talking about him being healthy, well, if he don't come back, he can forget about it. I just don't think Houston offense is handling the ball well enough to beat New England. So I'm gonna go with New England on this one.
Okay, well, that's good. You going with New England? I'm gonna go ahead and take them Texans on that, man. You know, I didn't have them. You know, let me say it like.
Well, I want them to win, so I'm gonna be cheering for them.
You know, I didn't think that Pittsburgh was actually going to beat the Houston Texans, but you know, I grew up, you know, with the Steelers too. But it is what it is. But I think this week, man, I think the team that makes the least mistakes, especially in a game like this, will be victorious. That's just my take on it. But let's talk about the Chicago Bears real quick, man. We got to talk about the Bears simply because Ben Johnson have them boys believing. Can you believe how many games these guys won? I mean, Green Bay started out like gangbusters, and they come after halftime and walk them down again. So, Greg, let me come over to you. Is it time for? Well, they're not going to get rid of Matt LaFleur. I think they already talked about giving him an extension, and not saying if they did, it would be right. But I'm looking at the Green Bay Packers, man. I don't know what else. I mean, I know you lost, Michael Parsons, and you tried to make a move for Trayvon Diggs, but that didn't, turn out. And I don't, nonetheless, man, the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams and the job they've been able to do. I mean, not getting down and keeping your head up and sustaining, man, and keeping the belief. Greg, speak to it, man. I mean, the Chicago Bears is doing their thing.
That's what you call going into halftime and checking each other and see, who really want to win, who really want to play, and that's what it is. Them guys, they don't have no quit in them. They come out and they're second half team. I don't know what's been going on with them in the first half in these games, but they go in their locker room. They must have got a grizzly bird in the locker room or something, because when they come back out, they bite heads off, and they be more aggressive, in the second half and everything, the play calling, the defense. But man, a team like the Bears, man, you got to play until that clock said 0-0-0 in the fourth quarter. Because if you don't, you be going home.
Real quick, well, Tim, speak to it, man. What is the cardiac? They should give them the name, the cardiac kids or the cardiac arrest, like the Cleveland Browns back in the day when they had Brian Sykes and Greg Pruitt and those boys. Because if I was a Chicago Bear fans, I would have to have an oxygen mask, man. I have to have an oxygen tank somewhere. Because this team right here, man, I'm just being honest. I'm like, nah, they may have done it in the regular season, but I don't see them walking the Green Bay Packers down with all the momentum they got. But lo and behold, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's so true. Caleb Williams says, I ain't new to this. I want to have some trophy for some reason. You know what I'm saying? He said, I ain't new to this. I've been doing this my whole life. That's what I do. So he finally got him a coach. He finally has a coach now that he believes in. He actually believes in him and doing the things he needs to. For the first time, he feels stable. So that's a good thing for them. But I'm going to tell you, they ain't going to get away with actually trying to be quarterback against the Rams. It ain't going to work. Because the other quarterback on the other side, he know how to go down and score as well too. So unless you run enough play off that time, don't give him no room to actually go back down there and put a score up, they're gonna be in trouble. So that's one thing about him. He in the fourth quarter, if they run the fourth quarter, that quarterback from Highland Park here in Dallas, he'll let you know. He said, yeah, I'm good at this comeback thing.
Yeah, but you know what, Tim? You're talking about Matthew Stafford. The only thing about the Rams, I would say, is that, going into the last couple of games of the regular season, they wasn't as sharp. And I know that don't get me wrong, I know Devontae Adams, he had some his hamstring and Puka Nacua. He had a little bit of injuries too, but he had a heck of a game over the weekend. I just wonder if Chicago, because they believe, and I'm just wondering that if they allow Chicago to hang around and get that momentum, keep that momentum, we may be looking at the Chicago Bears in the NFC Championship game. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm gonna say this because the problem is Chicago ain't been hanging around. They've been giving out leads.
I'm using Blow mantra, by the way. He said, "I'm just saying." Shout out to my Blow, man. I ain't trying to steal it, man. We're not there. Hey, Curtis, we're not Danny DeVito and Manning, Eli Manning here on the commercial. You think he's trying to steal all this stuff? No, that's my man Blow thing. He always say, "I'm just saying." But anyway, go ahead and
So if Chicago continue to do what they do, give up that big lead, they're not gonna get it back. Now I will say this though, Rams defense has been well enough to actually let you kind of come back. I just don't think they'll have enough. I think this is one time if they let that big lead come out like they've been doing, or it ain't really not a big lead, but enough lead like 14 points, a double digit, then it's gonna be a hard time for them to do the same thing they've been doing. They have to start out better. They start out better, they'll be better. They'll win that game, but they're gonna have to start out better.
Well, that's going to be a key. So that's going to wrap up our NFL playoffs games. And let me just remind everybody once again, if you hadn't already downloaded that free app, absolutely free, go to your app store. You'll see Alex Lamb Worldwide TV, a green and white banner. Download it. It's absolutely free. Get it now before we bring a subscription to it. And then it's no longer free. And we got all these people watching us. Because, again, this thing is not only just in the DF Dub, it's going across direct engagement across the country as well as into over 120 countries. Yeah, we had like Czech Republic come on, Australia come on, so many different countries. So again, it's absolutely free. That's where you see the content. So let's switch over, guys, real quick over here to the college playoffs. And man, let me tell you something. That Ole Miss game and Miami game, and I was rooting for Trinidad Chambers and them boys. And I think the referee at the end or towards the end, you got to make that call. I understand. You don't want to make the call because you don't want to be the deciding factor in the game. But when it's so blatant like that, and they show the replay where the kid got his arm on the inside pad of the receiver and his elbow is extended, that's pass interference all day long. So, Greg, I'm going to come to you on that. In watching the Ole Miss game and the Miami Hurricanes, and Michael Irvin, them out there losing their mind. They want to play again. You know what I'm saying? What do you think coming up? Because now they got to play the big dog. But the Miami Hurricane, what do you think about that Ole Miss game in Miami Hurricane?
Well, you could have been, pass interference. You could have called it, yeah. But when I told you guys when they play A&M, they defense has been playing well, and their offense, they got some guys. The running back, he's been running that ball, man. Then you got the little freshman, Malachi, man. He's exciting, and Beck has been playing excellent football. I have to give it to him. The last.
You know what? I'm holding off on you saying that, but go ahead though, Greg.
I mean, because they was talking bad about Beck, early and about transferring and giving him the money. Lane Kiffin, he was saying, "Hey, did you see him play against us?" So he's quietly putting together, some good games and stepping up at big times. But Indiana, well-coached team, hungry, physical. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game to me.
Before I chime in on that, I'm gonna come on to Tim again. Miami, Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambers, which by the way, he didn't get his 6th year. I was hoping that he would, if that's what he really wanted to do, and play another year. But I think he's ready for the NFL right now. That's just my take on it. But how do you see this game with Miami and Indiana coming up, and what do you think about the game itself when they played Miami? Or should I say Miami played Ole Miss?
Well, that should have been a pass interference call. That's simple. You know, you grab a person's shoulder pad right in the neck and you pull him down. Don't allow him an opportunity, because it's always about, can that guy make the play he would play if he wouldn't touch him, right? And he couldn't make the play he needed to play. He couldn't reach up. He couldn't go for the ball like he needed to. So pass interference, easy call. But they missed it. Missed calls have been happening all the time. Shouldn't let it get down to that last play in the first place. So that's the whole key. That's his coach speak right there. Don't let it get down to just one play. Make some plays, right, before that. But Miami defensive ends, man, them babies nice. 3 and 4, Mansour and the boy 3. They like I said, they number 3 and number 4 defensive ends going into the draft, and they work 3 and 4, and they come off that ball. Boy, they can get up, they can drive, they can drive the linemen, so they actually do bull rushes. They got speed rushes. They play good against the run as well. So those ends, the book ends, are really good. You know, everybody loves, and everybody wants to have 2 great defensive ends on their team to actually close the gaps and actually cause havoc. And they do that. That's their major, I would say, weapons on their team. Whew. But Indiana can run the ball. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball. They discipline. They don't have penalties, right? They coach penalties. So it's gonna be a booger bear for Miami when this game come up, because the way the Indiana plays is so disciplined on both sides of the ball, unless there's some uncharacteristic play by Indiana. Miami, we enjoyed it. Love your fight. Love your fight. Michael, keep on fighting, boy. You drove them. Yeah, we appreciate that. That's going to make it a game for a little while.
Well, I'm going to say this. Real quick. I'm going to try to make mine short and sweet if I can. I didn't see the blowout against the Oregon Ducks. I don't think anybody really saw that coming, just how they played them the first time around, because I definitely didn't see it. And we know about
okay.
Okay, when you say we had to go back and check the archives on that, but we know that Coach Sonetta, man, his teams are very disciplined. And as much as I'm just not a Miami guy, probably because they beat my Oklahoma Sooners back, back in the 80s, and I grew up on Oklahoma Sooners from the 70s with Greg Pruitt and them boys and Billy Sims. So I ain't never really been a Miami guy. But here's the thing. If I remove my prejudice and take them off the table and set them aside, and I'm looking at it with my football mind, I got to think the way the Miami Hurricane players, young players, will come into a game like that, because they just witnessed what we witnessed. A Dan Lanning team getting smoked twice. They beat them the first time, and then they smoked them the second time. But that's Dan Lanning, and that's a whole nother conversation in regards to him, simply because he pick on the smaller teams who ain't really ready, like all the talk he did a couple of years ago against Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, talking about they play for clicks and all that, knowing that Deion didn't have his horses in the trenches. But every time he go up to the big boys, the big dogs now, who's coming on your street block, he withers away. He did it against Georgia, he did it against Ohio State, and he did it against Indiana. So I don't necessarily think that the Miami Hurricanes look at that game and say, you know what, we're gonna fold. Only reason why, because you got those guys on the sideline with them. You got the Ray Lewises, the Edgerrin James, the Antoine Rose now, the Michael Irvins. You got a lot of Miami guys on there. And I can only imagine that if I'm looking at these guys that came before me and that history and all these guys who wore these gold jackets, man, you can't do nothing but get up for a game like this, because I got to believe they telling them you guys don't have a chance. They're counting you guys out. Everybody got Indiana to win. And this is the kind of game that is a recipe for an upset. Now, I'm not saying that Miami's going to upset them, because I think Sonetta has enough, ilk in him to let his team know. Fernando Mendoza and them, and he's a very acute player, man. He studies very well. So I don't see him getting rattled. I don't see him being afraid of the moment, and I don't see them being too cocky coming in because of the demonstration they just gave to Oregon. I don't see that either. But I do agree with Greg. I think it's going to be a much better play game than a lot of people are saying, just because Miami feel like they're the underdogs and everybody's counting them out. And I just got to think, man, as a former player, if I'm looking and seeing all this, now this is the national game, and nobody really gave us a chance, even when they got them in the playoffs. I think that Miami come out with a real stingy disposition. I think they come in that game saying, we here, man. We here. So the 800-pound gorilla is not on Miami. It's on Indiana. Can you complete it? I.e. The New England Patriots when they went undefeated in the regular season. And they kept talking about they're going to, break, the Miami Dolphins, undefeated record. And they wind up losing the Super Bowl to the New York Giants. So now the honest again is on Indiana with the 800-pound gorilla. Can you finish and close the deal? But Tim, you look like you want to chime in on that, man.
Well, I understand. The rah-rah speech especially work in the first quarter, right? They do. Right. They'll get them two defensive end and bookend defensive end all excited. But it's totally different when you get smacked in the mouth. You get smacked in the mouth by somebody who actually making that cut to that much better than you, getting to that spot faster than you do, blocking you, actually creating a crease and keep creating creases, keep coming after you, keep coming hard at you, which is what Cincinnati teams do, come hard at you. They keep harming over and over again. Until you make some turnovers, which the Cincinnati team usually doesn't, you don't make no turnovers, no big giant plays, boom, it wears on you. And
so, Greg, let me tell
you. I agree with you one thing, though. I want to say this real quick. I agree with you one thing. Oregon couldn't handle it because they ain't made like that, and Miami made better than them. And I totally agree with you. That'll make that game closer for a longer period of time. But I just think it's going to wear up like a drop of water.
So, I guess, who do you like? Who do you like in this national championship?
I like Indiana.
You like Indiana? Greg, who you like in it?
I'm gonna lean toward Miami.
Leaning towards Miami. Hey, y'all chat out for me, man. Chat out for me in the box. Tell me who you like in this national championship game. Do you like the Miami Hurricanes put ones? If you like Indiana, put twos in there. Man, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna have to lean towards Indiana. I think they get it done. I think they close the deal, bring home the first national championship for the football program, which would be really big for that program because they're not the sexy team or anything like that. And I just think they get it done. Michael Irvin can't play for them. They got to go out there and perform themselves. And I just think they've come too far. So that's who I'm taking. Let me see who the chat say, man. Let me see who they got, man. Let me see who they got. Curtis, he like Miami. He say he like Miami, man. He think Miami's going to pull this thing out against Indiana, man. Okay. I don't know if DA is still with us, man, or Weeks, man, or whoever's out there, man. Tell me y'all coming into, even if we get it on tomorrow, I still want to see you guys come in. Who do you think win the NCAA National Football Championship between the Miami Hurricanes and Indiana Hoosiers on next Monday? I would like to know. Put in the comments a 1 for Miami and 2 for Indiana, and then we're going to run it back when we get back on that Tuesday after the game is played. But it's going to be real interesting. So, guys, we got about another 10, 15 minutes before we wrap the show up this evening. And I want to go back to the NFL real quick because we got some breaking news. Of course, Mike Tomlin stepped down. We already talked about John Harbaugh. He's 18th season being with the Baltimore Ravens. He's no longer there. And then you got Kevin Stefanski, who was let go earlier in the week, himself on the Cleveland Browns. So coaches are no longer coaching in the AFC in the same division, right? and they say the Cincinnati Bengals coach, he's the only one. Taylor is still there when they was talking about firing him. So I think it was more of a respect thing with Mike Tomlin. I think, the only thing that's constant is change. I think this is a good move because sometimes things can get stale. Your speeches get stale, and then you don't get the right players in that you need to execute the X's and O's. But Greg, I'm gonna come to you on first because we think about Mike Tomlin, 19 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Never had this is incredible when you think about it. 19 years, and he's never had a losing season. Never. So what comes to mind, man? You think about Mike Tomlin. I'm gonna say they, resigning, but wink, wink. About him leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think he was gonna do that anyway. It's a simple fact that, when you fighting and they not throwing you nothing to fight with, man, you know, it get hard, you know, from all the expectations for you to win, go to the championship. But upstairs is not helping you get the players that you need, and the players that you have performing, and you're not paying them, and they leaving year after year after year. You know, it's frustrating as a coach. So I feel like, you know, I know how he feels. Like, hey man, I just can't do it no more. It's just too much. You know, it's too much. That's just too much pressure for, you know, you guys not to help me, and you want me to win, and everybody, the fans and everybody, and you're not getting me any help. So I feel like you just feel like, you know, it's time for him to take a break, you know, start new if he gonna come back and coach or do some other things, you know. But I just felt like it didn't matter what Pittsburgh was saying, he was gonna leave anyway.
Yeah. What you think about it, Tim?
That's interesting. That's interesting because officially it's considered a firing. So rumored is that he had a choice of saying whether he left the team, whether he wanted to leave, or he wanted to be fired, and he chose to be fired. So they left it up to him, but it was a choice. He was leaving regardless. So I bet they had a mutual conversation to kind of go back to what you said, Greg. I bet they had a mutual conversation about what this looked like and what we're going to do going forward. And I believe, because we talked about this, we didn't talk about this about half the season. I think we mentioned something even last year. But we talked about Tomlin. This is a place that he should be at, and should he stay, because there's no way he can feel good about the direction of this team and what they're giving him as assets, as you talking about. The assets are not good enough to win a championship. And we talk about levels, something you talk about, Jabril, talking about levels. There's levels of teams actually where it's not a win unless you win the Super Bowl. So Pittsburgh's one of those places, and they haven't had the talent to win a Super Bowl. So therefore, Tomlin, it was time for him to move forward, to find a new place and find a new standard that's going to meet his standard and allow him to be the coach that he is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, again, because the only thing that's constant in the universe is change, and change can be good. And I just think you lose your players, the speeches get dull, and like Greg said, you know, they lost a lot of players over the years. When you start losing receivers like Mike Wallace and, I mean, a slew, you know, Claypool, and I mean, of course, we know what happened with Antonio Brown situation. You lose your running back. My running, I can't think his name right now. They lose me. They played at Michigan. Le'Veon Bell. So you know, you lose people, man, and you don't, you know, replace those with the type of assets that you talked about that you need. But it's a remarkable job to be able to take what you have and not make any excuses and still get the job done, where you getting your team into the playoff. But like you guys heard me say before, there are certain teams where there's a certain standard. Teams like the Dallas Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers, New York Giants, Kansas City Chiefs. You can even probably put the Baltimore Ravens in there now, and the Washington Commanders. We're talking about historical Green Bay Packers, historical teams who are accustomed to getting to the Super Bowl at some point. These teams, you know, Kansas City Chiefs come to mind as well with the dynasty that they created, of course, the New England Patriots. But these teams, man, they have a certain standard. And when you're not getting to the Super Bowl, as they like to say, Super Bowl or bust, oftentimes these are the things that happen. So, you know, congratulations to Mike Tomlin, man, on 19 years of riding it out. He did win a Super Bowl championship. Rather, if you think that there was a part of Bill Cowher, I mean, somebody had to still coach the team. I don't think it was a situation like Barry Switzer when Jimmy Johnson left. I don't think that at all. I think Mike Tomlin came in and did what he needed to do. So big shout out to him. I think he may go into the booth for a year, take some time off, or he may have decided, man, there's some very interesting jobs out there, and I want to be a part of maybe the Miami Dolphins. He's been up there in the cold weather, Pittsburgh, for so long. He might want to get a little sunshine on him. So that Miami Dolphin job may look real good to him. So, guys, that's going to conclude another episode of The Replay. We hope we made you guys' day. Let me read my one last comment right here and just see what it is. What Blow? I think it might be Curtis Blow. Let me see what he said. He said, never come win a game that they need good luck for. Blow, you hard, man. You hard. I tell you one thing, them 49ers don't get to the NFC Championship game. Or if they get to the Super Bowl and they lose, because they've been accustomed to doing that lately, Greg, Darrell Alexander, Curtis Medlock, they've been accustomed to doing that lately. Y'all may be in for a new coach. But anyway, we ain't got as much as the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just now trying to get a defensive coordinator. Can we please somebody hire an African-American DC for the Dallas Cowboys? Just give me that. Just give me that. But guys, we got to get out of here though, man. So I want to get to the shout outs real quick. Y'all see me wearing my Wilma Hutchins hoodie. And y'all can see this number one. I'm proud. You know, this is when your boy was 18 years of age, first team to ever beat Highland Park. You understand? Yes, the number one recruited class in the DF Dub, entire state of Texas. Of course, Dallas Carter came back and broke our record with 21. We had 18 to go D1. They came back in 1988 with 21 to go D1. But the reason why I'm wearing this, man, I want to give a big shout out, man, to the new head coach of Wilma Hutchins varsity football team, Coach Ron Bonds Jr. He will be joining the Hutch family. We're planning on doing some stuff behind the scene. Hopefully have a meet and greet with him. I went through the vetting process this past week, and it was very interesting. Had a 9-member panel. There was no bias. I'll just leave it right there for now because I always say whoever they decide, it wasn't my decision to make it, but I was a part of the process and wanted to put my little bit of 2 cents in there and let them know about the history of this program, the Eagle Spirit, man, and the people that came through this program and gave it all they got, whether you was on the hardwood, the baseball diamond, or the football field. And we got to get this thing back to prominence and get it back to the glory days of what we used to. So again, shout out to Coach Ron Bonds. He is the new head coach of the Wilma Hutchins football varsity team, and I'm looking forward to working with them and consulting and doing some things like that. So that's who I'm shouting out this week. Greg, let me come to you. Who are you shouting out?
Man, I'm shouting out. I hope they can stop letting us get beat 72-0 and 58-3. Because I'm tired of people calling me talking about man Hutch. Y'all ain't got nothing now. You know what I'm saying? They getting it. Yeah, man, they getting it back, man. Because you know, but we rolling for so long, you know.
Well, I made it clear. I definitely made it clear to him and told him, hey man, this is a heavy as they say sometimes, the heaviest, you know, wear the crown. This is one of those deals, man. Your head got to be heavy to wear the crown because I'm gonna say the Wilma Hutchins Eagles, man. We're rich in history, and we got to get that history back. And look here, I'm just telling you, I had my old Crash Crew towel. I told them in the thing, I said, some of y'all may not wasn't even born in 1983 when I first wore this towel. So I'm just letting you know how deep this thing run. And it ain't just me. It's a student body out there. So let me be very clear. Let me be perfectly clear. But Tim, let me come on to you right quick, man. Who are you shouting out, Tim?
I'm shouting out our undefeated NCAA basketball team for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Undefeated, 17-0, right? Okay. Ranked in the top 10. They ain't been there since if ever. I don't even remember. So that's a big shout out. They over there representing right now. So shout out to our basketball team, the Cornhuskers basketball team, undefeated, out there taking care of business. You know, they got a big game coming up. I think they got Michigan coming up. They got 2 or 3 games before that. They could be 20-0 before they play Michigan for a big game. Michigan was ranked number 2 the last time they did the voting. So they may be number 3 now because they lost 1 game. So gonna be good. So it's kind of fun to see this basketball team actually winning. So Eric Strickland, where you at? So to all you guys out there, good job.
Yeah, Strickland, shout out to Strick. Yeah, that former Dallas Mavericks back NBA player. Eric Strickland. So guys, that's going to conclude another show here on the episode on the replay. We're so glad that y'all joined us this evening. We'll be right back next week, man, with more content talking about the games ahead and what happened over the weekend and that national championship game. So join us and look out for the lows each week, and we're uploading new content. Stay with us. Like I said, we're growing the channel, and we appreciate y'all. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll keep bringing y'all the best show that we possibly can. So this has been another episode. I want y'all remember to always be wise. Things don't always happen where you want them to. Just stay steadfast, stay focused. Know that God is always in control. So to my two co-hosts, Tim Action Jackson, all the way from Nebraska, my guy Greg, Ice Cream, I will Rumor Hudson, Eagles, Ben Senior Charlie, and Six Man L Maggie. Coming on, brother here, man, with
Stay blessed and stay wise.